SMT Nation, we back nation. Big news out of T-Mobile and Dish after a request to ask for a delay or an extension on the 800 megahertz sale. T-Mobile has basically filed to deny this request by Dish. All right, so Dish needs more time to pay for the spectrum, and T-Mobile doesn't want them to have more time. They want to move on with their lives. Amongst other things that could be in play here. But I want to cover all that here in today's video, do a little bit of a recap of the history of all this and what this potentially means moving forward. So I'll be sure to link the article from Dano, who broke the story late in the news cycle on Friday. We're covering it here, recorded on Sunday, just because I want to make sure we kind of put this on a timeline of events of what is kind of happening at Dish and with T-Mobile. So link for the article in the description. Also in the description, the real SMT Buy Me a Coffee link. Want to support your creators, show your appreciation for all the content here on the channel. Support us, keep us caffeinated and motivated, buy us a coffee. And there's other ways to support us as well. They're all in the description. Check them out, Patreon. There's also YouTube memberships, amongst other things. And of course, if you're looking for a really good deal on wireless service, you can get it from our partner, Mint Mobile. You guys know the Green Fox? They got great deals on wireless service. Deflation promo pricing still seems to be active. Using our partner code, mintmobile.com/Sneed is the web link, and it's in the description, and you can save those ducats. Shipping you a SIM card really quick, get you connected and hooked up fast. And of course, the most convenient way is eSIM, and they can do that for you as well. Check them out, mintmobile.com/Sneed. Okay, so Dish basically asked for an extension to pay for spectrum that they have a right to. It's in the deal between the T-Mobile Sprint merger, the DOJ, the FCC, all the parties involved with the whole merger put this into writing, put it in contract form in an agreement. T-Mobile was supposed to basically spin off the 800 megahertz spectrum from Sprint, low band spectrum. I think it's 3.5 megahertz bandwidth of it. The spectrum itself is valuable, right? It's worth money. Spectrum is hard to come by, a finite resource, and the most important thing in wireless networking, right? So, it's a big time thing. Now, it's important to Dish because Dish needs it, right? No company starting from scratch could use low band frequency airwaves more than a company like Dish. And they're having a hard time with their money situation, and a lot of that is on them. It's on Dish. What has Dish been spending their money on? Well, most of it, and most importantly, is the network build. This is part of that. So I don't really see the issue there. But one could say that, you gotta go into, this whole project, this whole endeavor, ready to provide the capital and the funding to take care of business. Now, there was a very definitive date for when Dish had to pay for this. Otherwise, they were going to have to pay a fine for not being able to pay for it. And then, of course, the next steps would be, well, what happens to the 800 megahertz spectrum? Does T-Mobile want to hold it and build to it, put it on air? Or do they want to sell it to another entity? Those types of things. But the first company to have access to the sale, to the purchase, would be Dish. It's in the agreement. But T-Mobile is saying, we want the motion denied. Right? They want the 800 megahertz, to be sold according to its timeline, and they don't want Dish to be granted an extension. Dish historically has been a spectrum squatter. Dish historically has been unable to meet, the demands of the FCC. They have hit their mark with respect to their network build, right? They've been hit with, like the 20-30% mark of the network covered across the country. Then they had to hit 70%. And they hit that, those types of things. So there are some things that are good, and what they're trying to do is very difficult. But this puts a wrench into the fold. If Dish is granted an extension, it allows them to continue to try to, to build, put capital to the network, figure out the retail situation, buy a little bit of time. But if they're not granted the extension, T-Mobile continues to have to wait in limbo. And I'll be honest with you guys, my take is that, does Dish deserve an extension? So the two sides here is, yes, they deserve an extension because the DOJ put this deal together. the FCC put this deal together. They wanted to facilitate Dish as a fourth national provider. I think it behooves them to give them the extension. The problem here is that Dish has continuously received extensions. There's no guarantee that they complete it anyway, right? And, it's kind of one of those things. Do you want to enable companies to continue to falter and be bailed out? And T-Mobile's trying to move on with their life, right? They're trying to just completely disconnect from anything associated with the merger. But T-Mobile's culpable in this, and I'm going to tell you guys why. They chose Dish to be involved in this merger. They knew what they were getting themselves into. One could argue they've been trying to bury them since day one. I mean, let's call a spade a spade. The timeline of events, T-Mobile has not played nicely with Dish. They didn't want to pay Dish for the 600 megahertz access during the pandemic. They haven't done them any favors with the cost of the MVNO agreement. They've tried to harvest their customers, through Boost Mobile and targeting their customers for switching. They have not played nicely. So I don't have a side. I mean, I believe in deadlines. I believe in accountability. So there's a part of me that says Dish has to be held to this, pay the fine or buy the spectrum, but Dish has not been given a proper opportunity for success. I mean, they're fighting an uphill battle. Maybe you could argue a battle that they cannot win, so there's a lot of stuff in here. It's very, very messy. I will tell you guys, this is not done. This will continue to be an issue because it's messy. The DOJ set this all up to be messy and a failure. And by the way, the people that negotiated these contracts and agreements and deals, they're gone, right? Macon Del Rahim and all these people with the DOJ. This is a mess. And all that's really left are corporations to just sit there, squibble and squabble and fight. Meanwhile, we, the consumer, are just trying to get access to better networking, more networks, and better competition. And of course, we're better to have 4 competent networks in the country than 3. So there's an element of wanting Dish to succeed, but there's a lot of obstacles and it's messy. I refuse to take the side of T-Mobile in this, just out of principle, because, they have been so horrible from point A to point B up to this point. And there's also a part of me that is aggravated by Dish and their inability to properly scale their retail operations. And we know that how Charlie Ergen operates with all this backhanded stuff and sneaky stuff and litigation. I mean, this is, as a customer, probably the most frustrating situation we could have. I, for one, just hope whatever happens here is the best outcome for the consumer, whether it means T-Mobile deploys the spectrum or Dish deploys the spectrum. Just get it on there, get it used for the American public. And, I just hope it's good outcomes. It's just a bad situation. What do you guys want to see happen? Who do you think's in the right? Who do you think's in the wrong? And what do you think is the most likely outcome? Sound off in the comment section below. You are the voice of the people, the SMT Nation. Let your voice be heard.